Welcome back. In a little over a week, Connecticut State Police will launch the Safe Storage Initiative CT. Here to talk about it is Sergeant Luke Davis from the State Police. Welcome.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you for having me.
So I know you have some props and we're going to show people how these work, but just tell me generally, what is the Safe Storage Initiative?
The Safe Storage Initiative is a means of garnering education and awareness when it comes to firearm storage. So it was an opportunity for a grant that came to my attention last year, and I applied for the grant to help raise that awareness, especially when it comes to new gun owners and starting good, safe habits right from the get-go.
And so we're talking about these safes, which you're going to show us in a moment. 1,500 new pistol permit recipients are going to be given one of these when they get their pistol permit. And the idea is, hey, right from the jump, we want you to be safe.
Absolutely. So we're going to be launching this on July 1st, and when it goes into effect, new permit recipients that are coming into State Police headquarters in Middletown, when they actually get their physical permit, are going to have that opportunity to participate in this grant. So they'll be receiving a brand new handgun safe, and they'll also be receiving literature to show them different laws as well as safety tips regarding the safe storage.
And I want to look at this in just a moment, but the big thing is, so much can be gained by using a simple device like this. I mean, what do you tell somebody if they say, Sergeant Davis, why is this so important?
Well, at the end of the day, with anything, knowledge is power, and it's just an additional step that we're taking to help people to become more aware and educated, because owning a firearm is a big responsibility, and it's very important that you keep the firearm in a safe space to prevent an avoidable tragedy from happening. And I've seen several instances of that throughout my career, whether it be an unauthorized person getting their hands on the gun, accidentally shooting themselves, or even intentionally shooting themselves for that fact, or somebody becoming a victim of a crime and then ultimately becoming criminally liable themselves for leaving the weapon unsecured in the motor vehicle.
And some, obviously there's laws, and you're a state trooper, you want people to comply with laws, but when you see that stuff, I mean, there's a human element to this too, beyond the fact that potentially you're breaking a law. There could be a real tragedy.
Absolutely, yes.
And so that's certainly more. So tell us about this. This is what these new recipients are going to get. Just grab the keys here and walk us through what this is.
So these are the units that we're going to be giving away. So they're Sentry safe, basically a handgun lockbox.
Just I'll tip it up so people can see just the Sentry safe there.
So it is actually actuated by a key lock, which does open up and has ample storage space. And the lock itself also actuates the cable mechanism. So the cable can come out and it can be put around through a hard surface, whether that's a seat platform or frame in a vehicle or a hard mounted surface at home. So they can be used in either application.
And that's one, I'm going to put this back, but one of the things, and I know you have the literature you're going to give folks as well, one issue that you do run into is people traveling with a firearm in a vehicle. There are some specific rules on what you have to do to keep that safe. You can't just throw it on the passenger seat and get out and run into McDonald's.
That's correct, yeah. So individuals who have a permit can certainly carry a firearm on them if they're driving. However, there are certain circumstances that may prohibit them from carrying the firearm, such as a private establishment having rules in place prohibiting people from carrying firearms. If that person plans on consuming alcohol, then the firearm does not need to be on their person any longer. It needs to be secured and locked up.
And so a device like this, even though you're in your car, you could use this cable to secure it to the car, use this to secure the gun, and then you can be safe.
Absolutely. So the way that the statute is written at present for locking up in a vehicle has to be a locking glove box or a locking trunk. Not all vehicles are designed that way. So this is actually a good option that can be used, again, in both platforms. It can be used in the vehicle and it can be used at home.
And in a home, I've heard this in some of the debates about, some of the storage laws, and people say, well, they're well-meaning. But, if I need my gun at my house, it's because I need it right now, and I'm worried about having it locked up. What do you tell people who express those concerns?
Well, I think it's important to impress upon those individuals that, yes, you do have the right to defend yourself against deadly force, but you have to be safe about doing so as well. So if your firearm is not immediately on your person or in your immediate control, then those steps need to be taken to ensure that it is secured, particularly if you have ineligible parties residing in your home, such as children, for that fact.
And also, I know one important piece of advice is that you want people, when possible, to store the ammunition and the firearm separately, right?
Yes, so that would be a perfect example, like if somebody's like traveling, like say going to a range. Yeah, you can still carry it on your person, but ammunition should be stored separately when the firearm is in fact secured, whether it be at home or in the vehicle.
I know you have this, show us this pamphlet as well. You have this with just some more information for people that might help them out.
Yes, so every one of these safes that's going to go out is going to go with one of these brochures. These pamphlets themselves are not going to be limited to new permit recipients such as the safes. These are going to be available to the general public. So also starting on July 1, there are going to be these brochures publicly available at all 11 state police barracks across the state.
And it's just something that, like I said earlier, and you have them here, you have cites to the general statutes that people have to follow, and it's the law, you have to follow it. But gosh, you're going to be a lot more upset about the tragedy than you are about the violation of the law.
Correct. Correct. So again, we're really just trying to impart that additional knowledge on new gun owners so that they are starting good habits from the get-go and they're being safe and responsible with a deadly weapon.
All right, so we're just about out of time, but just run through it again. If somebody's watching and maybe they're not a new pistol permit holder, but give us just real quick again what you want to impress on people. What are the important things that they need to know about safe storage?
Number one important thing that everybody needs to know is to ensure that the weapon cannot be accessed by somebody who is not eligible to possess a firearm. So anybody who may be subject to a risk protection order, a child, somebody who may have high-level felony convictions, anyone who cannot physically possess a firearm by law cannot have access. So that is part of a responsibility of a safe gun owner by law to ensure that those parties do not obtain access to a firearm.
And a device like this or something that you could buy at your local gun dealer would be able to do that. And that's just part of the word of this initiative. And starting July 1st, you'll be trumpeting that word out to everybody.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Sergeant Luke Davis, thank you so much for being with us. And we appreciate you coming in and hopefully making people a little safer.
Thank you.